some of the older boats can go in here, but I think you've really tried to minimize the older, louder, smokier boats. Can you do something similar with the shorter boats coming in, really minimize that? For example, if it's under 65 feet, that they don't have to be heard within a mile. Have you looked at the schedule to really minimize any boats over 65 feet so that we're addressing it?
Yeah, there are no vessels under 65 feet that are coming
They all
into the
have to
terminal.
have that mile
Right.
long thing. Oh, I thought
Yes.
that some of them were shorter in
No.
your fleet.
No.
It's the New York water taxi that are shorter.
I don't even think don't hold me to that, but I don't think they're shorter than 65 feet either.
Thank you.
In addition to, I mean, do the regs cover not only decibel level, but the pitch of the horn as well? I mean, we all know from common experience that certain pitches carry a lot further than others, and there must be some learning in terms of at least annoyance level of one, whether a deep one is more annoying than a high pitch. I mean, I'm not sure which one is more annoying actually, but
But they are specific, Jeff, in the various octave ranges about the decibel level. They are specific.
No, I take the committee's vote, so hold on. Who else on the committee, Tom?
Hi. I was wondering if, I'm sure you did this, I just want to hear, as we all know, America, or the United States, all of its density is on its shores. And the group you're approaching also does all the shores of America. So we can't be the only community in the United States that's experiencing this, and we seem to have one solution. Do we have many solutions that they can choose from? And what have you found in researching other communities?
So we've looked, New York Waterways has looked, the Coast Guard said they have looked as well at this issue in other large ports, certainly on the coast, and they were unable to find real exceptions to this. Paul actually found one case in Michigan of some ferries that were, granted this kind of a waiver, and they were granted a waiver to start using whistles instead of horns.
I remember that from the last meeting we had.
And so
whistles.
it's possible that changes either the audibility range or the frequency. I don't know enough to know what the effect of whistles versus horns would be, but that seems to be the one case we've found that is an exception. The
Wow,
Coast
and that's
Guard's,
it.
and that's it.
Wow.
The Coast Guard's response to us was really that they didn't have a solution to it. They were hopeful that there would be some sort of, easy way to minimize the noise while complying with the regulations.
And the way we
really
went through this was through the Coast Guard.
We've gone through the Coast Guard.
Have you tried Googling?
Oh, yes, no.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
No, we've Googled. The Coast Guard has also looked. We've
Okay,
Googled.
good.
Tammy.
I'm sorry, I thought you meant we were Googling.
Paul, thank you so much for going through all the boats. It seems that you have, from everything you said, there are 4 boats that are neither environmentally fixed or engine fixed. And my question is, are any of those 4 part of the 4 that services?
5 feet. Yet, I'm sorry, shorter than 65 feet.
I don't believe there
It seems like there's a lack of consistency with respect to levels of horns, because there's some that are just incredibly loud, and some which are actually quite reasonable. So it's I almost would ask, there's it seems like there's a solution maybe even just there with respect to kind of there's louder horns. So I don't know how that works out, but
That's sort of the direction we're trying to go in. It's this focus on those. There is a difference between the levels of sound coming from different boats that are landing there. We're trying to focus on the ones that are emitting the loudest noise and see if we can bring them down to the level.
because that can be a solution in itself.
It is sort of the solution we're pursuing.
Do you want to talk, Paul, about the way the sound equipment is sort of manufactured to Coast Guard standards? I think that's useful information.
All of the vessels have their, at least to our knowledge, all the vessels that come in there have their original equipment when they were built by manufacturer to Coast Guard specifications. So I'm not, sitting here today, I'm not sure that every one of them is the ones that you notice that are not emitting the noise that is as objectionable. can't sit here today and tell you that those are actually complying with regulations.
Right, and that's the unknown, that, it seems like that's an easy step one, which has to be figured out regardless, right? Because they might be, as much as we would hate it, they may be not loud enough. But we don't even know where we're starting with before we know where we're
So
going.
I, unfortunately, we can't, none of us can really encourage the boat operators not to comply with the regulations as they currently stand. And if some of the boats are equipped with, with sound signaling equipment that is quieter for some reason, we're hoping to move towards having all of the boats equipped with the quieter equipment. That would be a really great solution to this. That would do what you're getting at, which is, move all of the boats to that more reasonable level. But
We don't know if that's an acceptable.
But only if
we don't know if that's acceptable
yeah.
yet. But what we do know is that we can't ask the boat operators to not comply with the regulations or to do less than they're being asked by the regulations. Both because we don't want to risk any incidents on the waterways and also because it jeopardizes their own livelihoods.
I feel like we're not even asking that, it's just even, the solution could be if we just looked at the boats as is to determine where we are starting right now.
Well, we may find that, be careful what you ask for. We may
Well,
find
100%, but we still, but step one is obvious, right?
Well, it's duly noted, and we'll ask them to look at it. I won't go back, I apologize for all the I didn't.
That's okay, I'm not sure what the question is. But the question is there anything to be done on land to impede the sound coming?
Don't know the answer to that.
the question.
Basically, she's talking about an acoustic baffle. Is that practical in some way?
I don't know if that's practical or who would be responsible for doing it. It's a good question, but,
Like they're doing inside the highway.
yeah,
That costs not much.
interesting.
My question was, if there's a timetable for identifying which boats are quieter, and then once you identify them, then figure out if they're in compliance or not, and then be careful what you wish for scenario. But then once you know which ones are quieter, if they're in compliance, go from there. If not,
So I think the hope is actually to do something that is hopefully a little bit faster than that, to sort of eliminate that middle step and say that we want all the boats to be quieter and we want all the boats to be operating at the half-mile distance. And so figuring out, what would be good to know is whether some of those quieter boats are at the half-mile level, and so we would answer that question for ourselves of how effective the half-mile level will be. If the half-mile level is enough to reduce the noise in a way that makes it more tolerable, that would be good to know. But I think our overall ask is that all of the boats be able to operate at that quieter level, so that we don't have to do that kind of first step of figuring out who's doing what now.
and do we have a timetable or not yet?
The timetable is what Noah was asking about, which is that New York Waterways and the Coast Guard are going to move forward pretty quickly, I think, on looking at how and whether this can be done.
In a follow-up to that, are you talking of variance specifically for this area, or does the timetable